Tulsi Gabbard announced yesterday that she'll be instituting a 40% cut across the office of the Director of National Intelligence. Of course, this is the office that was created to oversee the entire intelligence community. Sadly, we've seen it politicized. We've seen it, like any other D.C. organization, bloat with bureaucracy and morass and ballooning budgets. And she wants it to be transparent. She wants it to be responsive and get back to what it was originally meant to do. Do you think she's going to be able to succeed?
Well, I think that given that there is more public scrutiny, I think, and more public support for the idea that the deep state has gone too far, and that's what we've been seeing as part of the vibe shift, as the in the wake of President Trump's victory last November. I think I give her as good a chance as I would anyone. Doge has proven to the public again that the bureaucracy is far too unwieldy, far too costly. And certainly the behavior of the intelligence community and conspicuous members of it, Brennan, Clapper, Comey, has indicated that a culling of the herd is long overdue.
Yeah, so here we're a week into the new effort of President Trump utilizing his constitutional executive powers over the federal district, making sure that law enforcement cooperates at the federal level with the local police department to ensure safety in the streets and to make sure that laws are being enforced. Did you notice I didn't say Trump's takeover of the District of Columbia? Did you notice I didn't use the word authoritarian or jackbooted or fascist in any of that? Yeah, because that's all bull. President Trump has every legal right to do what he's done in D.C. And a little over a week into it, carjackings are down 80+% and 0 homicides. First time for a week in the summer in Washington, D.C. that they've gone a week without a murder for as long as they've been keeping track. And here in Washington, D.C., all of the right people are angry. All of the left, the people who work in the government, that I'll just say it like it is. All of the pasty, white-skinned liberals who live in cushy, safe neighborhoods with secure buildings and bodyguards, they're pissed off. But the people who live in the high crime districts, Washington Post poll just came out, and get this, 67% of Black Washingtonians say they want more cops in their neighborhoods. And Donald Trump's crime? Well, he's the first Republican president since home rule started in the early 70s to actually give a damn about it. And he's helping the people of Washington. And boy, oh boy, are they pissed off about it. We're going to get into that coming up with our great panel in just a second. And by the way, if you like Sean's show, you'll love my daily show at noon every day. Whatever platform you're watching on right now, you'll find me. The show's called Larry. Make sure you subscribe so you can catch me live every day at noon. And while you're at it, buy my book. It's all about the media. It's called The Shameless Liars, How Trump Defeated the Legacy Media and Made Them Irrelevant. And it's all about the lies of the 2024 presidential campaign. All right, we're going to get to the panel in just a minute. But first, a quick word from our buddy Sean.
Hey, Larry, thanks for helming the ship today for me. Please don't screw this up. I was traveling today. I've got a great show tomorrow with Dr. Peter McCullough. I'm relying on you to get this panel right. So thank you for what you're doing. Please, come on, don't screw this up. Anyway, guys, if you're in the middle of watching this panel and you're thinking to yourself, I'm a little hungry, it's dinner time, or I'm in a snack time, guess what? I got the answer for you. Some Masa Chips. I'm going to sit back and watch this panel show right now, and I'm going to snack on some Masa Chips. I don't even know what flavor I'm going for because I love them all. The blue ones, the original, the lime ones are my favorite. My son really likes the habanero ones. I think they're good, but I like the lime better. And they're cool. I love them because 3 ingredients. No processed seed oils. It's the real deal. It's corn, sea salt, and 100% beef-fed tallow. That is a MAHA-approved snack. And by the way, if you're a dipper or a scooper, they're amazing. The chips literally are thick. They're tasty. They're the perfect chip if you're going to just dip them in some salsa or guacamole or whatever. I'm not a guac guy. You guys know that. But I'm telling you, they're loved by thousands of people. I loved getting introduced to these chips. I met the owners, actually, and I told them I was so excited to try the Masa Chips. But you can, too. Join me. Go to masachips.com/Sean and use code Sean, SEAN, for 25% off. That's masachips.com/Sean, code word Sean, spelled the right way, SEAN, for 25% off. Highly recommend the variety pack, by the way. All right, guys. The last thing, as you get ready to wind down tonight and you are getting into bed, sleep is critical. Dr. Peter McCullough was talking about that with me after the show yesterday. Sleep is critical to everything. You know that. You know how I've changed and really tried to focus on sleep. But if you really want to up your game, get the best sheets that I've ever slept in. And this includes all the fancy hotels that I've been able to stay at before. These Boll Branch sheets that I just got were so amazing that literally after one night, my wife looked at me and said, "We need to order another set. I don't want to have to be without them when we wash them." But they are amazing. It's like this 100% organic cotton. They're breathable. They're durable. Like, it feels like you're in one of those really, really fancy hotels, but it's your own head. And I'm telling you, this is amazing. And by the way, they give you a 30-day guarantee. So if you don't agree with me, which I think you'd be nuts, then you can they'll take them back. They'll take them back. You can sleep in them for 30 days and they'll still take them back. That's how confident they are that you are going to love these things. And I'm telling you, I get hot at night. These things are unbelievable when it comes to breathability. So check it out. You just can't lose. You have nothing to lose. 30-day guarantee, amazing, durable, soft, breathable sheets. This is amazing. I got the pillowcases too, by the way. Highly recommend that. So if you want to know how you can get a better night's sleep, go to bollandbranch.com/Spicer. Now here's the thing. You have to use that URL. Boll, B-O-L-L, the word and branch.com/Spicer. If you use that exact URL, bollandbranch.com/Spicer, you get 15% off and free shipping. How do you like that? I'm literally helping you get a better night's sleep. And as I told you, I used my own code, my own money to buy a second share of these things. They are that comfortable. They are that good. Trust me, bollandbranch.com/Spicer for 15% off your first order. All right, Larry, let's go.
And now it's time for our great panel. Former Congresswoman from New York, Nan Hayworth, also member of Independent Women's Forum and co-host of a little radio show I like to call O'Connor and Company, Patrice Onwuka, and senior columnist and firebrand, Colonel Kurt Schlichter. Gang, thanks for being here today on the panel.
Thanks
for having us.
Congresswoman, I want to start with you. Tulsi Gabbard announced yesterday that she'll be instituting a 40% cut across the office of the Director of National Intelligence. Of course, this is the office that was created to oversee the entire intelligence community. Sadly, we've seen it politicized. We've seen it, like any other D.C. organization, bloat with bureaucracy and morass and ballooning budgets. And she wants it to be transparent. She wants it to be responsive and get back to what it was originally meant to do. Do you think she's going to be able to succeed?
Well, I think that given that there is more public scrutiny, I think, and more public support for the idea that the deep state has gone too far, and that's what we've been seeing as part of the vibe shift. In the wake of President Trump's victory last November. Mm-hmm. I think I give her as good a chance as I would anyone. Doge has proven to the public, again, that the bureaucracy is far too unwieldy, far too costly. And certainly the behavior of the intelligence community and conspicuous members of it, Brennan, Clapper, Comey, has indicated that a culling of the herd is long overdue.
Culling the herd. Yeah, but Patrice, you know how the herd reacts in this town. You live in the greater Washington area. The permanent political class are already going nuts about it.
Well, of course, they're going to go nuts because these are some of the people that leak information. If they're in the media, they're people that leak information to them, or maybe their neighbors. I mean, I took a look at the reporting on the 37 people who lost their security clearances. They are neither haven't used their security clearances or they haven't maintained them. At least 2 of them have been working for U.S. aid. So it's not just intelligence committees specifically. Some of them actually work for for President Trump during his first administration. Some are working in the Middle East. They had topics of like Latin America and other areas. So to me, it doesn't necessarily mean it's some sort of retribution, which I think the left will want to claim, oh, this is just retribution. This is actually clearing the house and making the strong statement that like federal jobs, it is not a guarantee, a lifetime guarantee that you'll keep your security clearance, particularly if you're working against the interest of the person who's your boss.
Yeah, Kurt, you're a retired colonel in the Army, and thank you for your service as always. But people act like having a security clearance in D.C. is a right, not a privilege. It's just supposed to go to people who are actually going to do something good with it and protect our country, I thought.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, I lost mine as soon as I retired, as I should have. We just convicted a spy in San Diego just yesterday. So it's not like there's not espionage out there, but I want to get back to this retribution issue. I'm for retribution. I'm actually pro-retribution. I don't know when conservatives stopped being for retribution, because you hear it out there. We can't. Yeah, we can't retaliate. No, we can't. We're conservatives. We believe that bad behavior should have fiery and painful consequences. This will both deter future misconduct and create kind of the cosmic justice, the karma, if you're not of the Judeo-Christian vibe, that where bad things happen to bad people, and I think bad things should happen to bad people. So I hope there's a retribution element, because they need to pay.
Forgive me for throwing a thesaurus at you, Kurt, but last I checked, retribution is right in league with justice in there, and there has been any justice.
Yes, they're very
but Kurt, they're already claiming that these cuts from Tulsi Gabbard and the Office of DNI is going to leave us vulnerable to attack, right? That's anytime you try to cut anything in Washington, D.C., especially associated with national security or intelligence, suddenly we're now going to face the next 9/11.
It's always firemen and libraries. Well, I'm willing to roll the dice. Because I got to tell you, the supreme competence of the American counterintelligence community is, that's questionable. I mean, I'm here in Los Angeles in the South Bay area where we have aerospace, and if I picked up and threw my mouse, I probably had a Chinese spy who wasn't being tailed because the FBI was busy hassling moms concerned that some dude with the whole sausage factory swinging is walking through their locker room.
Well, I mean, the good news is you can open a bat soup cafe and just clean up if that's the case.
Well, I have had a cold lately.
Nan Hayworth, Congresswoman, the whole purpose of the Office of Director of National Intelligence is to keep our country safe and make sure that the intelligence community is coordinating. But because it was abused under James Clapper, everything that we've learned now about what they did in trumping up the Russian collusion hoax, that sort of, you abuse that power, you waste the good trust of the American people. This is what you should expect, I would think.
Well, that's it. And I agree with Kurt that consequences should be of lasting influence. Let's put it that way. And perhaps that's a very diplomatic way of putting it, that even our rational friends on the other side of the aisle, the dwindling number.
They should feel the pain.
Well, understand. Well, they're meant to be a deterrent to future bad behavior.
That's right.
So stripping, and these are pragmatic moves, by the way. These are not irrational, sort of, wild, we're throwing everything at the wall moves. No, we are paring down this department so that it can perform its duties in a way that doesn't have layer upon layer of bureaucracy that becomes highly unaccountable and, its own creature over time. And that's what we've seen happen. It will not be sheltered from the scrutiny of the executive, if you will. And that's a rational way to do this. It's the right way to do it. So that's what Tulsi Gabbard and President Trump are doing. They're doing the right thing, and it will have lasting beneficial effects.
One more angle on this. You don't want an organization like this to get lost in mission creep, right? This happens all the time. And exactly. Patrice Onwuka, as they were announcing this yesterday, DNI Gabbard pointed out that one of the departments they're shutting down was created under President Biden. It was a department in the Office of the Director of National Intelligence that coordinated with social media companies to silence and censor dissenting voices in America. I mean, of course that should be shut down. It should have never been started.
A good riddance to bad rubbish. I mean, listen, the ends that we saw the Biden administration weaponize their agencies as well as outside actors to silence information, to silence dissent, to squelch any conversation. It's sad that this was happening in our intelligence community as well, but it's not surprising, and I'm glad that it's being shut down. And I agree with both of my colleagues here. There needs to be accountability. I just don't want the left to call accountability well-earned accountability, getting rid of the bad apples as though it's, some sort of, payback. I mean, maybe we can agree or disagree on payback, but I want to see the bad folks gone. And I'm sure there's more cleaning of house still needs to be done.
All right, let's turn to a story that I know Sean Spicer loves. He's a Rhode Islander, born and bred. This happened in his town of Newport, and it's perfect. Let's take a look at the video if you haven't already seen it. It happened one drunken night in Newport, Rhode Island. Who among us haven't been there? Let's take a look at this assistant AG and how she behaved.
If I ask you to turn off the body cam, you have to turn it off, and that's your protocol. She's a lawyer, so she knows.
Well, that's lawyer stuff, so that's not true. So we gotta go.
No, it is. That's law. I'm an AG. I'm an AG.
Good for you. I don't give a shit. Let's go. We're going. Let's go. We're leaving.
We're leaving. Please don't put your hands on us.
Can you get your children out of here? Like, I don't know why.
I'm sorry, what?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Come on, there are two full-grown women and mothers of children. All right.
You just need to take. You just need to take.
I'm an AG. I'm an AG.
What's wrong with you?
What are you probable cause to detain me for?
You're being detained because you're not leaving.
Because I'm what? You have.
Can you relax, sir? She's not doing anything wrong. She's not leaving.
I'm an AG.
She's an AG. Buddy, you're not. She's not being arrested. Let's go.
I'm not being arrested. You're putting me in cuffs. I'm not being arrested.
Do you have any weapons on you?
No. I'm an AG.
Her badge is in the car. You want to go get a badge?
I'm an AG. All right, Kurt, you live in LA. You're used to this whole
Exactly.
don't you know who I am
I
kind
was
of
just
attitude.
thinking that. Don't you know who I am? I was on a CW show with Casper Von Dame in 1988.
Could we nominate this cop for a Presidential Medal of Freedom?
I love that guy.
I love
I
his
don't care.
attitude.
You suck. It was beautiful. Look, the entitlement of mediocre, affluent, Chardonnay-soaked SSRI gobbling wine women of whiteness is apparently infinite. And I'm not supposed to hate people or despise people because of their immutable characteristics, but that's how I feel about women like her.
Well,
Because
hold on a minute. Now, I've had a glass of Chardonnay or two with Nan Hayworth, and she's never acted that way.
yeah, but it wasn't oaky.
Let's give some dispensation to the congresswoman.
True.
But
Oh
Nan,
my gosh.
this is endemic of the permanent political.
Yes.
When people say the permanent political class,
Yes.
it is exactly who we're talking about.
Absolutely. And, this is Patrice was talking about mission creep. This is the creep of the administrative state. And it is the outcome that should have been anticipated. The more especially in this AG, obviously this arrogant woman is a Democrat, of course. This authoritarian demanding that she be deferred to just because of her position.
Right.
But the Democrats being the party of government, every ounce of power ultimately lies in the lethal government in their world. And so this is a vivid example of how she expects to say the word because of her position, and they're gonna snap too. I love these police officers, and I love the way they sharply eliminated her imaginings that somehow she was going to control this situation. Bravo, indeed.
Patrice, there is another element of this, though, where you've got, again, this is a liberal, white, influential, powerful woman in a New England state dominated by Democrats, trying to commandeer the rules and efficiency of a body cam. Those body cams are there because of the demands of the liberal political class here, because they insisted the police officers were constantly racist and targeting Black Americans with their criminal activity. But, I'm a white woman, so turn that camera off. It's not needed now.
I mean, I think if we resurrect the Karen analogy, this is Karen. And let me add to the list of her crimes here. When she's in the police car, she starts to threaten the police officers, saying that they're going to pay. So on top of that, she's going to use her power and her authority to enact real retribution against these officers. I mean, and when I listen to the lawyer of the other lady, drunk lady that she's with, oh, well, this woman is not used to be treating like this. She grew up in a different background. This is not her day-to-day experience with the police. Well, hello, common sense tells you that if a police officer says, move away from a building or an establishment that says you're trespassing, you move away. You don't have to have a law degree to enact some common sense and listen to the police. She's now getting a taste of medicine that I'm sure she's dispensed to other people, but never assumed she would ever have to take herself.
Well, Patrice, I know you and I live in the D.C. area. We go downtown a lot. We often have to go to Union Station. Congresswoman Hayworth, I'm sure you used to take the train down. When Kurt Schlichter is in town, he gets a chauffeur. It's usually me. I have to drive him around everywhere.
That's true.
But I have to say, the video yesterday of the Vice President and the Secretary of Defense going to greet National Guard troops at Union Station was stunning on multiple levels. First of all, the station looks pristine. It looks clean. After just 1 week of the efforts to clean up the town, it's a gorgeous building. But even better, instead of getting attacked by criminal vagrants, drug dealers, homeless, bums, like you normally would at Union Station, instead, SecDef and Veep got attacked by a bunch of crazy, screaming liberals. Watch this priceless video.
You beat Nazis!
Climate justice!
Get the out of my city!
Okay, but hold on now. That's not the end of the story. The best part of this is the next video. Kurt, I know you're going to love this. Look how J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth responded. Watch.
This is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community.
Mr. Vice President, how did it go?
Hey guys, thank you.
Kurt Schlichter. They didn't cower. They didn't put their heads down and walk rapidly. They didn't have staffers try to. They stopped. They pointed. They mocked. And they laughed at them. Good God, they've been reading your columns.
I got to hand it to the young Marine and to the young infantry officer. They know how to handle the hacks. It was great. I don't know what I love most. Was it Frigidina there screaming about climate justice? That may have been my favorite. First of all, fix the perm, lady. Yeah. But there's another bit of footage that I think actually tells an even better story she didn't use. And it's one of 3 guardsmen, black guys, standing there talking to young people in D.C., young black men, and they're sitting there, they're showing them the vehicles, they're showing them pride, they're showing them leadership. I led guys like that. I could be prouder.
We'll go right to the video. We're on a mind meld here. Take a look. Now, this took place in the Navy Yard neighborhood, which is near the baseball stadium, but it's also been the site of a lot of these carjackings, a lot of the crime. One of the young men was overheard saying, yeah, last week there was a shooting right here. And now he's checking out the Humvee. He's talking to these soldiers. I mean, maybe this will help put him on a new path. You're right, Kurt. That is the best scene that I've seen.
I love it. And the military bearing of those guys, they're in shape. They're standing upright. Yeah, one guy had his hands in his pockets. Okay, Sergeant, take care of it. But, I mean, these are citizen soldiers. These are guys, they're teachers, they're delivery guys, they're insurance salesmen. They are our guys, and I got to lead them, and I am so proud of these guys. They're the heroes of this, not these screeching entitled jerks.
Patrice, is something happening in D.C.? I know it's only been a week and a half now, I guess, and I don't want to get too far ahead of it, but you start to sense a bit of a shift.
Yeah, I think it's happening in the neighborhoods like Ward 7 and Ward 8, the neighborhoods where violent crime and murder is concentrated, where, I saw a small business owner, a Black guy, saying, listen, if kids can go out and play on the street again in the summertime, I'm all for it. I mean, these are people who recognize that they are the victims of the crime that gets perpetrated. Sure, once in a while, shootings and lots of carjackings spill over into Northwest D.C. in front of Les Diplomates and some of the big, richy, connected restaurants. But it's the people who are in those wards who see generational poverty, who will never escape those wards, who are stuck with the violent crime. They're the ones benefiting when older people can finally walk to and from church without worrying about being jumped by a kid their grandchild's age. That's where the change is coming, and hopefully the rest of the city will get on board.
Nan Hayworth, what do you think of President Trump exercising his constitutional authority here and trying to make a difference in the District of Columbia, and also this sort of newfound swagger? I mean, you've been around Republicans of various different flavors and shapes and sizes, but to see J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth doing that, I honestly pointing and laughing at those protesters, I felt emboldened.
They are channeling Sensei Kurt Schlichter, and I applaud it and I love it. The era of the apologetic, and I hate to say it, but the sort of it just feels like the Bush Republican era in which we're going to be everybody's best friend. But by golly, if a Republican behaves in a way that we find a bit perhaps too brusque, we're going to take him to task. And that drove me nuts in the President Trump's campaigns. But it is marvelous to see it. We need it. And President Trump is doing exactly the right thing. He's doing it because he cares about our capital city. That is his motivation. But it is also, of course, putting the Democrats on they have chosen to be that way, putting them on the side of the criminal and crime and destruction and death. So it's a very bad look for Democrats. It's a very bad look for their supporters. It's entirely their fault. And my concern, of course, is that Section 740 authority ends at 30 days after its exercise. Yep. So what happens beyond that?
But funny thing, that was going to be my next question to the panel, so I'll follow up right to you. It's been suggested by the administration through a couple of leaks that the president will go back to Congress and ask for an extension on those 30 days. Do you think Republicans might even find some Democrats to join them for that? Because let's not forget, some of the attacks on staffers, congressional staffers in D.C. who have to live in these neighborhoods, they work for Democrats. So the Democrats know, the Democrats, congressmen, the senators, they know what the problem is here.
Yes. And given that I know we're going to talk about it later, I think, but the vibe shift continues against, you can see voter registration patterns across the country.
Yes.
Democrats are in trouble. It would behoove those who have enough common sense, and there, aren't that many. Trust me, I've been there. But those who have common sense to say, no, you know what? We're going to phrase this as, we care about public safety. We may not agree with President Trump about every single thing, but we do need to secure our capital city, and it's working, and we're hearing from our constituents.
I think you're right. I think Democrats will join. And honestly, Patrice, I mean, if they don't sort of help this process along, they run the risk, and many of them are already on the side of sort of apologizing and being supportive of the criminal behavior. It's like the only talking point they've got is, well, this is authoritarian. Okay, well, it's not. And, oh, by the way, the streets are safer. So isn't that a good thing?
Well, and they're starting to get cover from even the liberal propaganda arms. I mean, when you have The Atlantic and Maureen Dowd in the Washington Post saying, hey, Democrats, don't be on the wrong side of supporting crime, be on the right side of fighting against it. So I think there's providing some coverage for Democrats to say, actually, that's true. You know, the Maureen Dowd's piece was really interesting when she said, yeah, okay, even if you believe the crime stats, which I think a lot of us are questioning right now, the fact is crime, homicides may be down in D.C., but they're still far above where they were in New York City 30 years ago. So that's nothing to pat yourselves on the back for, when the reality and the perception, it doesn't support this idea that things are getting better, you know, have been getting better recently until President Trump stepped in to really provide a show of force and crack down on the crime.
Great point. Although Maureen Dowd's in the New York Times, I don't want to give her a pay cut.
Sorry, New York Times. Sorry about that.
Post. Oh, that's a downgrade going to the Post. Yeah, keep her in New York. Kurt, last question for you on this in terms of what might be next. Do you think possibly, if this continues to progress the way it is in D.C., that there may be a red state governor who has a blue city controlled by Democrats that is fraught with crime, who might actually extend the invitation and say, hey, I'm asking you to call out the National Guard here with me, and let's work together to help fix this Democrat-destroyed city?
I think that absolutely could happen. And it's, you know, there's this wide open, sane lane for Democrats to do crazy things like oppose crime. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, you know, if President Trump goes back to Congress, and I urge him to do it because I like highlighting contradictions. John Ossoff, who's up for election next year, I'd like to see him go, yes, I voted for more dead black young men to own Trump.
Great point. Great point. All right, you heard Nan Hayworth, Congresswoman from New York, former, although it would be great if she ran again. Former Congresswoman Nan Hayworth allude to a report that the New York Times has now gone with this week, showing that in every single state across the country, I believe it's 28 total states, that register voters by party affiliation. In every single one of those states, not only have Republicans gained in some states by huge margins, but Democrats are crashing and burning. It's a huge developing story. By the way, a story that new media was ahead of for quite some time. You've seen Seth Keshel right here on Sean Spicer's show talk about these trends for the last year, like going back to last year's election and sort of raising the warnings for Democrats that they've got a serious problem. Well, let's go right back to Congresswoman Hayworth as you were talking about it. This is not just a trend. This is a pattern. It is a full-on forceful redrawing of the political dynamic in this country. And it's happening at the worst time for Democrats, right before a midterm that they would really like to do well at.
Yes. And it's 30 states as far as I recall.
30. Thank
Larry,
you.
30 states. And they range from deep blue New York and deep blue California to redder states and red states as well. That's not necessarily surprising, obviously, in the latter case. And Democrats have lost, I believe it's a net 2.1 million registrations across the country. Republicans have gained 2.4 million. Obviously, that's a net difference then of 4.5 million in the Republicans' favor.
Yeah, that is not just some sort of blip in a poll. That's not as statistical. That is a cultural shift, 4.5 million.
Every state, yes, every state, not one went in favor of the Dems. Now, the magnitude of the shift is different in different states, not surprisingly, but it's policy. I think people are starting to realize that policy matters, more than anything else, and Republican policies, work better. So, let's hope the Republicans can capitalize on this effectively.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think there's something bigger. I'll hold my analysis for the end. Patrice, what do you make of the shift here with regard to voter registration and this realignment that we're seeing? By the way, it should be pointed out, states like Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, which for the last couple of election cycles have been sort of swing states and border ground states, they're all swinging Republican.
Yeah. I want to say that, we're seeing a destruction of the generational chokehold that Democrats have had on a lot of specific demographics. When you look at Hispanics, when you look at Black voters, when you look at young voters, particularly young men, and even some young women, we've seen that it's just through this voter registration discussion, how there's been a shift. It used to be that if you're Black, you vote the way your grandfather, your father did. We're not seeing that registration. We're starting to see that change, saying particularly also with the Hispanic demographic to how they voted, but also how they're registering to vote. So suddenly, Democrats can't hide behind the racial demographics anymore. They can't even hide behind the age demographics. They've got to bring something to the table more than just, oh, your parents voted this way, or oh, your skin color and your gender, what's between your legs says this is how you should vote. No, I think these demographics are waking up to realize how much better their lives were under a Republican Trump presidency and how much they want that to continue. We'll see how things shift out as different folks react to immigration or crime or, economic policies differently. But I think it still bodes really well for Republicans next year. And tip of the hat to Scott Pressler in Pennsylvania, who, really made a tremendous effort in registering people to vote and showing Republicans that we need to be in every community registering people.
Yeah, and obviously, if Kurt Schlichter voted based on what was between his legs, he'd be bringing back the Bull Moose Party. But Kurt, setting that aside for a moment, this is about working class voters as well. This is that sweet spot, middle voter that Trump has been able to really talk to and communicate to, who are union members, who are factory workers, who no longer find a home in the Democrats.
Well, the Democrats decided they didn't need people like that. Like Spinal Tap, their appeal became more selective. They decided, we don't need them. They're racist and they believe in God and the flag and all those. We don't need them. We can have a thing of, essentially welfare cheats and college professors and HR directors. I'm no mathematician, but it starts adding up when you're always on the 20 side of the 80-20 issues. Right. Okay. And that's what's happening here. Normal people don't want what these weirdos are selling. They don't want their kids castrated because they glanced at a Barbie doll. They want to keep their guns. They want to be able to walk the streets. They don't like America getting pushed around by third world potentates. Okay. And they like an economy that works. Now, as you know, I'm married into a Cuban family. So that every time I go visit them in Houston, it's like I Love Lucy and everyone else is Ricky. But they were Texan Republicans, very Bush-like 10 years ago. Now they scare me.
That says something. No rejoinder on the Bull Moose reference.
I thanked you for it. I mean,
all right.
What could I say?
There's another reason I think this is happening, and that is inexplicably the lesson that the Democrats seem to have learned coming out of 2024 is that they weren't leftist, socialist, and extremist enough.
Yeah.
And because of this Commie Mamdani up in New York, all he did was win a primary against Andrew Cuomo, who is hated. Let's face it. I mean, he had to leave office in shame. They hate him because of how he conducted himself during COVID-19. He had to leave because of sexual harassment thing. So it's no great feat to beat Andrew Cuomo in the primary. But suddenly the lesson, Nan Hayworth, and this is your state, it seems like all Democrats think is, whatever that Mamdani's selling, that's what we should be doing. So they have lurched that much further over to the socialist wing of their party, leaving this giant opening for Republicans to grab the middle. And it looks like Republicans are doing it.
Absolutely. The energy in the party, such as it is, and it is, it's a dwindling island of people who are, the true believers. But the energy is all on the so-called progressive. They're actually, of course, retrogressive.
They're communists.
Absolutely. Progressive socialist side. And by the way, even more broadly construed, and that's why it's such a relief to see our society responding as it is, pray that it continues, is that we have had near total institutional capture by these, proto and crypto Marxists So these, the Democrats and these so-called progressives had every support in media, popular culture, academia,
board.
and so they feel they live in their bubble, just as you were referring to in terms of their gated communities and their safe spaces. They're not. My lifestyle has not been affected. And so this is why someone like Imam Dani may indeed win, and he's got the support of billionaires, right? The Soroses are right behind him. There are all kinds of.
It's easy to be a socialist when you're already rich, Nan Hayworth. That's the best kind of socialist.
Of course.
You don't feel any pain.
Absolutely.
So, you're right.
So it's scary in New York City. There is some evidence that perhaps the Mamdani wave has peaked, but of course we need a Trump summit on the QT between Cuomo, Adams, and Sliwa to say, look, guys, you got to work this out so that we can save New York.
I think there's an unspoken Labor Day deadline on that, and whoever's ahead, I think something's going to happen. But let's just be clear here. When you fill out a voter registration card and you have to check that box, you're basically affirming to yourself and publicly whose team you're on. And when your pen is hovering over that box that says Democrat, well, you're throwing down with socialists. You're throwing down with Hamas. You're throwing down with a party that believes a man can get pregnant. And I just don't think that most Americans are in that space anymore. But that's how the party has allowed themselves to be defined willingly. Speaking of communists and pregnant men, let's turn to Gavin Newsom in the state of California, shall we? He has recently been tweeting up a storm, but tweeting in a very distinctive style. Take a look at some of these posts on the X platform. All capital letters, obviously in the style that looks a whole lot like Donald Trump. Is he trying to borrow from Trump's playbook? Is he trying to make some obscure point? And then what? I don't know. But here's a couple of the tweets. Donald Trump, the lowest polling president in recent history. This is your second to last warning. The next one is the last one. Stand down now or California will counterstrike legally to destroy your illegal crooked maps in red states. Press conference coming, hosted by America's favorite governor, Gavin Newsom. Final warning next. You won't like it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This is just bizarre and weird and stupid. And shall I say, not becoming of a governor, especially this latest tweet where he completely jumped the shark because he's making fun of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. He's suggesting that the whole thing was a joke. He's suggesting that the whole thing was faked because he's holding a bottle of ketchup as what appears to be blood drips from his ear. But of course, anyone who looks at this image knows that just about 50 feet beyond where the president was standing that day, a man lost his life. So Kurt Schlichter, you're a Californian. What the hell's going on with your governor?
Well, look, Gavin Newsom's a joke. And I wrote about it at Town Hall recently. He's ridiculous. And, I did stand-up comedy, right? Okay, you can't, you got to understand how funny works. Okay, you can't live on your one airplane food bit again and again. All right, as Saul Alinsky said, everything try new things, but everything after a while becomes a drag. Okay, doing this once or twice, potentially funny. Doing it again and again, it's like, you got anything else? Like, I don't know, issuing permits to rebuild the houses your incompetence burned down.
Yeah.
Anything else on the schedule there, dude? Talking over memories about Harvey Weinstein with a wife.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. But that's where he is. Patrice, is this going to work? I mean, he's getting a lot of attention, and I guess Democrats think that he's fighting, but it's hard. If you've spent 10 years telling us how bad Trump is, and now you're acting like Trump, then what are you doing?
Yeah, no, it's not going to work. I mean, maybe it gins up a couple of young people who are already on his side, and it goes against the grain. The common thought is that the left can't meme. They're just not funny enough or can't be funny, make fun of themselves. But don't be surprised if he starts to abandon this. This is just kind of a way to keep his name in the drumbeat and to set himself apart from the other 2028 contenders, as though he's the one who's in the lead. He's the one that is taking all the direction and all the attention from Trump. And so, it'll pan out though, because unless there's some substance to follow through, you can't keep this kind of drumbeat up of just making, run-on sentences in all caps and really bad memes, but tasteless memes.
Yeah. Also, somebody should remind him that if he wants to run for president, great, that's good, but he's not going to be running against Donald Trump. So what's the point? And the other problem with Democrats and Gavin Newsom is that they continue to fall into the same trap that who they are and what they stand for continues to be defined by Donald Trump. And that's not good for the brand. That's not good for any politician. All right, let's get to your winners and losers and predictions. If you don't mind, we'll start with you, Congresswoman Hayworth. Who's your winner of the week?
My winner of the week is a bit of a stealth winner, but I think she's headed in an interesting direction. Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, who has been talked about this week just a bit, about how she's actually taking a different tack from a Newsom, from a Pritzker, from other Democrats who are thoroughly antagonizing President Trump. She's in a state where there's a lot of Trump Democrats now. So she is trying to work with President Trump.
Okay.
I'm not at all certain that it will succeed for her in a Dem primary for president, let alone a general. But I think she is probing a productive path for the next Democrat presidential candidate. And she's doing it because she is working with President Trump.
Excellent. All right, Patrice, your winner of the week.
Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard has been doing an excellent job cleaning house. Also, all the declassified information that we have received because of her, I think has definitely been, a gift that we couldn't have imagined. So she's beating our expectations.
Big week for Tulsi. And Kurt, your winner.
Well, Nan, thank you for pointing that out, because you're going to see it repeated in my What Democrat Will Merge into the Sane Lane article next week in Town Hall. My winner of the week is Ivan. Who's Ivan? Ivan's an infantryman in a Ukrainian infantry unit. I went over there, I trained him, I worked with him, and now maybe he's not going to die in a war that his country's not going to win. Donald Trump's doing the right thing here. He's doing the right thing for American interests, and he's doing the right thing for Ivan. I'm a soldier. I hate seeing other soldiers die for nothing. That's what's happening now.
All right, great winner. My winner is tourists from around the world who want to come and visit the most powerful city on the planet, Washington, D.C., because it's a lot safer than it was a week ago. So come on, bring all your money. We need it in the economy. Your losers, Nan Hayworth.
I would say Vladimir Putin is my loser of the week, because with his renewed aggression against Ukraine, including Western Ukrainian targets with American affiliations, he is, I think, effectively sealing his fate, because he really doesn't have a heck of a lot of cards to play against Donald Trump when push comes to shove.
I hope you're right.
He's going to incur the wrath of the one man who can make his path just a little bit easier.
Patrice, loser of the week.
Hillary Clinton. She started off the week saying that she was willing to nominate President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize if he's able to bring this war to an end. And now she ends the week under a potential investigation, ethics investigation, plus everything else in between. And what a counter to my winner of the week, Tulsi Gabbard, a woman she thought she could bury, and Hillary Clinton's now the one being buried.
Yes. Nice karma there. Any week that Hillary's a loser is a good week in my book. Kurt, who's your loser?
Well, my loser this week is Fox News's non-threateningly attractive liberal commentator Jessica Tarloff, who decided yesterday to excoriate the ICE for arresting this helpless dude on the streets of Washington, D.C., only to find out that he has a thing for kids. And he was picked up on his way to his job at the Lincoln Project. So hats off, Jessica. Way to go.
The cops are not the bad guys. The pedophiles are the bad guys. It's a hard lesson that Democrats seem to have trouble
learning. Got to keep reiterating.
Yeah. That's right.
My loser of the week is my chicken fried steak. and blueberry pancakes at Cracker Barrel. What are they doing? Why are they messing with Cracker Barrel? They messed with the logo. They messed with the interior design. It was perfect the way it was. And it's always crowded whenever I try to go there. So what are they trying to fix? It ain't broke. Don't fix it. The other loser of the week, by the way. Other loser of the week is anybody who hasn't bought my book yet. Get it. It's called Shameless Liars, How Trump Defeated the Legacy Media. And we're out of time. You guys are great. What a great panel. Sean's back tomorrow, so don't miss it. I'm Larry O'Connor. It's been the Sean Spicer Show.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.